Hello. Hi. Hi there.
Hello, Woolie.
Hello.
How's it going?
Hi.
Do you have a nice...
I'm so glad you could make it. I'm really happy.
Oh,
to see
Woolie, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea.
I look forward to these so much.
A delight we're doing this.
I really...
That me and you
Yo.
can exist in the same social space just for a little bit and share so much wonderful art with each other.
It's the best. This podcast is such a fun idea, and the fact that every month we get to come together. Like, I look forward to these, you know? We get to do it together. You know why? Because I'm Woolie Versus.
I'm Eyepatch Wolf.
And we are Versus Wolves! Versus Wolves! We are.
It's fair. Yeah. Actually, Woolie, I had a little Google around to see if, I guess, anything else as Versus Wolves existed, and I found one thing.
Did you?
I found an old 80s science fiction franchise that I think played on Japanese television called Versus Wolves.
Okay, I did a cursory search myself, and I saw something that I didn't quite understand what I saw, and I was like, all right, I think we're good.
Yeah, I want to look more into it because it actually seems kind of legit, but you know, we can put a pin in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, whatever comes of it, but that is it's. I mean, hey, look, it's a cool name. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. I you know, I appreciate the well,
you seem nervous, Woolie. You okay?
I'm okay.
Maybe a little anxiety forming over something.
There what? Hey, listen. Like you might think there are eggshells scattered around the ground, but they're actually rose petals that I've scattered for you.
Oh, that's what those are. Okay.
That's what those are. The crunching under your feet is just the sound of dried petals, you know?
Okay. I'm once again going to warn you against encouraging a certain community that we have really... I don't know how to stop the momentum, Woolie. It's getting really difficult. No, I just feel like, you know, if you feel like I'm upset or that I have a reason to be not even furious, but just an emotion of pure white that I don't even know how to describe. I can't. Don't worry, buddy. John, it's all going to be okay.
I'm coming in with peace and love.
Me too. That's what this episode's going to be all about. Peace and love.
An offering of friendship. I really do just. I cherish it, you know, I really do.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Woolie, I have been thinking about this podcast for weeks. That's right, buddy.
Okay. No, that's
Chuckle it up.
No. I've been looking forward to it too. I really have. Hey. Did you watch RRR?
Boy, did I!
Right? What a movie!
What a movie! Oh my god! RRR was fantastic. It was every time I didn't think that movie could top itself, it did. Okay, I think the moments that I just absolutely collapsed with just so much love for this movie is there is a moment when Tollywood, baby, where one man breaks into a high society British party. This is in India, right?
Yes.
And he Akira slides his truck and shoots lions, tigers, wolves, bear, and stag out the side of his truck at
in
the
slow
British
motion.
royalty.
Yes.
Yeah, it's incredible. And then they start mauling all the soldiers, and there's fire everywhere, and the whole place is in complete destruction. And then someone tries to arrest him, and he turns around and says, "I have done nothing wrong."
and he hasn't.
No.
Oh my god.
Oh, what a movie.
Yo,
so
just coming out of the water.
Amazing.
Raman.
So good.
Isn't it? Okay.
If you're unfamiliar with this movie, this is a Tollywood movie, and where do you even start with this fucking thing? Okay, so you often see like people say about how a lot of like kind of Eastern men aren't portrayed particularly well in Western media. And fucking goddamn right they're not. These are some beautiful men, Woolie.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Oh my god.
The sharpest mustaches you've ever seen.
Unbelievable. The movie opens with one man fighting maybe 2,000.
Yes. go and like just following the orders, being a proper officer. And the whole bit, right? Rise, roar, revolt is what the translation is, but it's also the names of the director and the stars are all ours as well. So there's
awesome.
multiple readings on that. Exactly.
Yeah.
The way I believe it was pitched was, we want to make a Marvel movie for India. Right? It's
fucking incredible. And
superheroes.
It nails it. Yeah.
Every moment is taking my introduction to like some of what was going on with that style of action was there's a previous movie called Singham, which was a Bollywood movie from way back with so the guy who plays the father in the flashback, aim, load, shoot, right? That guy is like from another action movie, which is amazing and like has that same kind of energy and vibe to it. Where he's got like a tiger swipe palm that takes dudes out and pulls his belt off to like spank the criminals.
The nature of physics in this film is so incredible. There's one bit where I'm just going to call him the king. I think he's actually a governor, but there's basically the king of England. He flies out of his car. I think there's a bump in the road, and he flies up out of his car with a rifle in hand, takes aim at another car, shoots it, and that car basically flies off into the stratosphere from this one bullet from this 20th century rifle musket. It is amazing.
Yeah. Played by Ray Stevenson, by the way. The Punisher from Warzone and
wow.
Yeah, and Titus Pullo in Rome. It's just a wild pull on the casting there.
I don't know if you noticed, Woolie, a lot of the English in this are played by Irish people. Because who better? Who knows better? What they did. Yeah. What they did.
Yo, just that there is a shot where you just see the sun never sets on the British Empire and just blood splatter. Like, goddamn, it is wild. So this is a I would say a superhero decolonization movie is one way to describe it.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible. It's so good.
And
there's an earnestness to this film that I just completely fell in love with. And it's hard because like I'm not very familiar with like films from this region, so like I don't really know, but there was just some plot aspects of it that I loved so fucking much. Like I think an hour into the film a song starts, not a musical, but a song. And the song is singing about the plot of the movie.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, so the whole conceit here is that basically a little girl has been kidnapped from a village. The evil English have bought her with coin. And this super badass hunter has left his village with the purpose of tracking this girl down and bringing her home. Meanwhile, a separate, equally badass dude is working for the British. He has become enlisted. He is their greatest officer. And he has been tasked with stopping this hunter. But unbeknownst to each other, they become best friends by being fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And so halfway through the film, this song starts, and it's basically like, two best friends unaware of each other's destiny. What will happen? We'll have to watch the rest of the film to find out.
Right?
Yeah.
And as those lyrics are playing, because that's the moment that I was like, I'm in. As those lyrics are playing, you're seeing their friendship build, and they're holding each other on each other's shoulders, and
they're working out. They're getting their reps in.
Doing the reps, and they're doing these little friendship frolics through the fields.
Woolie is not exaggerating even slightly. Legitimate male friendship frolics take place. It is beautiful. It just, like, Woolie, can you imagine if someone made a song like about the plot of this podcast? Because that, like, Woolie and John podcasting together. What will happen, Woolie, by the end of this episode? Maybe something awful. Let's find out.
Such a pure friendship, but what if something dangerous is coming? It's incredible.
It's
even the way that the friendship kind of comes together. There's this like unsaid understanding in a moment where a child needs to be saved. And they just improvise the sickest plan ever to like find a way to like rescue the child in danger with just no words almost, you know?
I believe one points at a motorcycle and then the other one, and they just both nod. They've never met before.
Yes.
And they both nod and basically both dive off opposite sides of a bridge and slingshot around to save the child, hurl the child into the other's arms, then one wraps himself, I think, in the Indian flag, and it protects him from burning flame.
The horse, the motorcycle, the child, the flag.
2 points. One. This is what we're doing. It's so good. It's so good.
That's it. And it's honestly, it feels like a trilogy in one movie because there's arcs that they go through, you know,
and you really feel these dudes, like they really love each other. You know, it's like they're just like there's one bit where things get complicated and secrets begin to come out, and there's like a minute-long sequence of one of them crying in slow motion and punching a wall because he doesn't want to turn on his friend.
Oh man, you know, and then the training arc, right? The moment there's transformations, there's power-ups that occur.
There is a legitimate like mortal wounds are grievously healed by putting on a very special pair of pants.
When the words "it is written" pop up and like the script flips to like the tradition. Oh, it's so powerful. Like
it's amazing. There is a point where they come face to face with each other's true nature, and one of them, I don't even want to say too much because I just want people to go experience it, but one of them walks out of flames, Woolie.
Yes.
I was losing my fucking mind. It was so good.
And they have theme songs that build, and there's a motif that comes back and like becomes like they each have their theme songs and they build together into these final bombastic pieces. It's
incredible. It's so good. There's a bit where Actor, one of them, just straight up hurls a fucking tiger at an English soldier.
Yeah.
But I guess one thing I'm curious about is like there is such a like innocent earnestness to this movie. What this movie is like you playing with other kids in the playground multiplied by a bajillion dollars.
Yeah.
And just all those weird fantasies get to come true. And it's so, like, sincere. And silly. And I kind of wonder, like, do the people, like, is this one of those things where, like, the people making it get that it's kind of schmaltzy, or are they just in this 100%? And either way is great.
Oh, I have the feeling that it's known and deliberate and, like, amped up to the maximum.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think so.
And then of course, you know, there's the love interest and the whole middle that builds, and not to.
So
you ready? You fucking ready, baby?
So, just to be clear, Woolie, that's the one of the 2 8-minute dance numbers you want us to learn.
Oh, the one.
Woolie, what the fuck is wrong with you? How are we going to do that? Do I look like I can do that?
I want your best effort. Because
the whole thing.
We'll figure it out. There's a couple of key moments that are quite choice that I require. So
just for the uninitiated, basically an hour and 10 minutes into this 3-hour movie, a plot critical dance number breaks. Plot. It's so important that he shows that Englishman that he can fucking dance. I get that. Okay, I understand. It's important. But this is so complicated, and it keeps going and going and going, and they're so bro. I'm not arguing it's not sick. Okay, it is, but I don't know. Woolie, we are going to have to put hours of rehearsal into this.
When it gets to the endurance run, I mean, I'm wondering, like, is your face more impressed or just preemptively thinking about the logistics?
Okay, I can chart the emotions out for you if you want. Oh, they're dancing. This must be what Woolie meant. Oh, this looks kind of complicated. Oh, this is going on for a while. I don't want to do that with suspenders. Why is this still going?
Yeah.
What is wrong with Woolie?
A battle in the truest sense. We will figure out the logistics. However, there are a few choice moments that I require. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Okay, any particular ones standing out?
Shoulder.
Okay, I figured
sync step. Right?
I figured
up,
this
down,
would be
left,
one.
right, up, down, step.
Okay, Woolie, you do realize that you're pitching this to the person who was like, well, Hi-Fi Rush was a little hard.
You realize that this is the weight that comes at the other end of enjoying this movie, which I offer up this joy, this brand new joy, you know? Mm-hmm. But yes, this is the cost. And what
tempted to do everything I can from ever keeping us like in the same movie or ever keeping us in the same area ever again.
Yeah, right.
My God,
run interference.
Literally, like Catch Me If You Can, just escaping across the globe. Because, oh my God,
just the slow, this in the distance. I got suspenders.
Oh, the only other thing I just have to mention is the 2-person mech.
Yep.
Don't even know that I want to say anything else, but
Yeah, I would leave it at this. If you're familiar with Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann and the concept of brotherly combination, Kyodai Gattai, that occurs in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is a live action movie, by the way.
They prove that is physically possible.
Yes. Combination and powering up via new forms. Like a Power Ranger, or a Voltron. You can form up like Voltron in real life.
It actually reminded me of, do you remember the moments in the Legend of Mystical Ninja LP we did where we hopped on each other's back and instantly realized that we had powered down significantly?
Control is now the biggest fucking problem ever, yes.
An amazing movie.
There you go.
Absolutely incredible. So glad I watched it.
I'm glad you did, and yeah, just highly recommended to anybody that hasn't. And then there's a last time I remember bringing this up too. I remember getting the full description of like, okay, so you started with Singham on the Bollywood side, and then you got into the Tollywood with RRR, and now there's a whole journey of other places you can go. So there's a lot of other cool things, but like I just want to put this one out there on the map for you. Get that on the board,
Yeah, gotcha. Understand. But yeah, I cannot wait to watch more shit like this. Like that was, it was such a blast.
Yes.
I really want to show my dad, because I think I think there's a chance that he's like, okay, I get this.
It is because, yeah, like I said, like there's the aspect of it that is just like, again, the superhero bit, but there's also the like period history happening in the background and just like dialing up your I mean, I don't want to say like Tarantino like takes, but the history in a more extreme way.
I want the Irish version of this so badly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, but it's a great time, and that's the thing too. Is like we talked about a bunch about it, but it's a pretty long film, and there's a lot that happens.
Very long.
So again, just get ready to go through like a trilogy in one sitting, almost.
Yeah. Also, I just have to mention just the pure evil of the English is just incredible. Do you know the value of a bullet?
Yep, exactly. Right?
Incredible. Incredible.
In contrast with load, aim, shoot.
Yeah, wow. It's interesting seeing a positive depiction of a suicide bomber in a movie. It goes places.
So I mean, I will say this too, that like there's a very different concept of how justice gets carried out.
Very much so. Very, very much so. And some Western sensibilities that do not get carried over here.
And the previous movies I saw as well, like also kind of introduced me to this. That's like, oh yeah, no, we're not doing the same thing. We're doing it real different over here.
Oh yeah, good guys do that over here too.
Yeah. Yep.
Fantastic. Right. I what I would not give. So it's okay, Woolie. I have a little challenge for you. What is bullet point out or two? Bullet point out or.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
I want you to come up with the fictional sequel to or. Called or. We got our boys Raju and Actor. What do they do in the sequel to this movie?
I mean, take the fight to the remnants, right? Like you take your final forms. And you find your Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan.
Okay.
You find your level, your blue
or two. Time to die, Your Majesty.
Like, right? Like just I'm okay. Here. at some point, perhaps within the first 5 to 10 minutes, we need a map with an arrow that goes from India over to the UK.
I think the way we have to do it is maybe that we have a shot-by-shot remake of Or, except in Wicklow with 2 Irish people. That's 3 hours long. That's the first act of Or 2.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. All right.
I think the poster should be like the guy's fists in the foreground and they're all clenched, and in the background is the Queen kind of going like...
I mean, I don't see why we can't have Buckingham Palace being surfed on like the intro to Bayonetta. Just like riding it down, riding the wreckage through a scene.
I think at one point actor could like grasp the base of Buckingham Palace and then pick it up and
I mean, that's what Big Ben is for. Right.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Big Ben is a giant QTE waiting to happen. Yeah. And then just a whole bunch of bobbies in midair getting air comboed.
We can bring in all the former colonies. Everyone gets a duo of awesome dudes, and we all just That's I think I love English people. I have a lot of English friends, but they they aren't inherently evil people, okay? I just have to be honest with you about that.
Never mind the discussion of like destroying their government property as the climax. Good stuff. All right.
Or 3, are you there, God? Time to get your ass kicked.
All right.
Good stuff. All right.
Okay. I suppose I'll carry this positive energy forward, if I may.
Yeah. You played
anything recently? Played anything good?
Get recommended some all-time classics or anything recently, Woolie?
Earthbound is probably the most charming game I have ever played.
Fuck yes.
It's so charming. Yeah. Like that word is what this, like it's wooing you over from second one with everything it does. I have been familiar with, the music and the, obviously the Smash Brothers, shout outs, over the years, the sprites, the look at like the trippy kind of LSD fight backgrounds and the first person crack of the bat, kind of battle. And of course, having, played Undertale and seen things that are reminiscent, being it Everhood and to some degree, even I'd say Lisa, Joyful.
Yeah, because you've consumed quite a lot of what I would describe the children of Earthbound.
Yeah, right.
I think a lot of those games, it's like Earthbound is one parent, and then RPG Maker culture is kind of the other. But RPG Maker culture was also really influenced by Earthbound, so yeah.
Yeah, no, but it I can feel it, and I can look at like this game, the original point, and see like where all of these little stems come from. Even just like walking around the cliffs in like Lisa, you're like, oh yeah, the way this kind of wasteland is designed in that type of a similar way. The interpretation of like kind of goofy sprites of characters that are just full of personality, even though they don't like their shape is like it's stylized first, and then it's stylized before anything else. So like the way that for example the Loch Ness monster kind of pops out with its goofy little smile.
It's
and like
such kind of a derpy little fucking thing.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, Toby Fox pulled this in Deltarune and in Undertale with like the little water creature and the little weird kind of goofy sliding in and
it's so good.
It's just it's so incredibly charming, man. I knew. So yeah, what I expected, right, was having, again, just kind of through osmosis and seen a bit of it. I expected, and certainly it delivered on, going on an adventure with your friends, 80s style, E.T., Goonies, modern day Stranger Things, comparison point.
Well, what do you think of Goonies?
Problem with me is, like, I feel like I've seen the Goonies in, like, bits and pieces over the years, so, like, I don't have a full sitting top to bottom. Yeah. I have, like, memories of, pieces of it here and there at either friends' places or, like, on TV. Like, so I don't, you know what I mean? It's not quite a full construction in my head.
I have a kind of similar, not issue, but I saw the Goonies when I was, like, 24. And I think that's just too late to love the Goonies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's the problem. Is just like it's one of those movies where, like, I've seen it but I haven't seen it. It's
gotcha.
Just it's been too broken up into be. And there's a bunch of movies from childhood as well that are like that, where I'm like, I've sat through this, I've been around. I don't know if I was doing other stuff, but like bits and pieces through substitute teachers wheeling in a TV and a random Sunday at my cousin's house. A bunch of Back to the Future in my head is like that. Instead of the, like, sit down, watch it full thing. It's just these floating memories. But either way, that energy of a bunch of kids running around town on an adventure to save the world is certainly what I expected. And it is what I got. But I didn't know / I didn't expect it to be as hilarious as it is. It's it's funny.
So good.
It's primarily funny. Like, that's the main thing. I sort of was like looking at Ness as like this, our RPG protagonist kid, and with the PK powers and all that stuff. Like, I didn't kind of expect that the world he was interfacing with was just so, like, weirdly goofy and fun and callous and mean, but also
it's quite a dark world in some ways.
It's so, what it feels like a lot of the time is every time you interface with the world of adults, like, it gets weird, right? Weird, yeah. Like adults will be mean to you and say shitty things, Like, there's
one of the first things that happens is a bunch of police take you into a back room to beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so just experiencing life through the lens of, like, this kid trying to do, the right thing and adventuring with your friends, but, like, exactly, a bunch of cops take you in a back room and put you in a kumite, Or, like, you talk to, like, a nurse who's like, hey, welcome to the hospital. Would you like me? I'm not too busy right now. Would you like me to explain the rules of how hospitals work? And you go, no, I'm good. And she's like, yeah, well, actually, I am busy.
Do you know, there's one piece of humor in it that I think is just, like, the perfect piece of Earthbound humor. And it's when you go into, I think, it's like an abandoned mine or a dig site. And there's 8 moles you have to fight. You have to track down these 8 moles.
Yeah.
And is it number 3?
So what it is you go into the mine and there's 4 or 5 moles, yeah. And each one you encounter is like, man, you think you can take me on? I'm only 3rd strongest in this entire cave. And then you get to the next one, and the next one is like, I don't know. They're like, man, what you've got coming. I don't know how strong I am, but it's got to be somewhere between 2 and 4.
And then you finally get to the last one, and he's like, you've defeated 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, but now it's time for number 3. It's just, how did this happen? How did these moles confuse their power levels so badly?
They never figured it out. It's so good. It's so good. Oh man, yeah, that.
Oh, it's magical.
there's so much that takes you off guard. Like, I'm going shopping and like I'm like looking at I'm going to browse and I'm like, actually no, I don't think I'll buy anything. And then you're in like the mall, so like the cashier is like, you just came over to say hi? God, what a loser. You're just like, Jesus Christ, lady, he's a child.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's so fun. And even like I think the animations for like every character is or every enemy is just like a still PNG. It's not a PNG, but people know what I mean by that. And
sprite.
Each one of them is so weird and so expressive. Mm-hmm. They nearly don't have to move. Like you see them and you're like, what the fuck is that?
Yes.
And it's incredible. Like it's a game that is constant. Okay. It's a shame that we can't go back in time and put this on the box of Earthbound, because I'm about to say something incredibly profound, Woolie. It's a game that is constantly oozing itself.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean.
No, Woolie, I think that's more impressive than that. That's a really succinct piece of writing right there.
It oozes itself. To be fair,
this is what I get for doing a fucking podcast with a Let's Player.
All right, listen. All right. Sure, I'm sorry that you can't script every aspect of this in advance and pour over each line by line.
Did you even read my script, Woolie?
To be fair, one of my core memories, in fact, the first memory I have of anything relating to Earthbound, was the GamePro magazine scratch and sniff ad, where they're like, this game game is so intense you can smell it, and it's like, so
I think that it literally said, this game stinks.
This game stinks. Yeah. It might have been Nintendo Power or something, but whatever it was, the magazine had scratch and sniff fucking tabs that you could smell.
Do you know why that happened?
No.
Because up until like Final Fantasy did okay in the West up until 7. 7 fucking blew the lid off everything. But up until 7, Final Fantasy had like a niche audience, but it was like the biggest thing in Japan.
Right.
So RPGs weren't really a thing. They gave away the first Dragon Quest, which was called Dragon Warrior, in a magazine.
Yeah.
It was just free for everyone because they wanted to, I guess, proliferate this, or the genre of RPG. Nothing fucking worked. The insane like scratch and sniff Earthbound ad was some lunatic's fever dream of the best idea he had, or they had, to like just populate RPGs in the West, and it was a screaming failure.
It was nuts, dude. Like that was my main thing, and the like what looked like kind of like claymation figures, in the ads and such. Definitely did not put the right energy out. And then my next encounter with it was unlocking Ness in Smash 64.
I still remember that, because I remember thinking like, this character sucks. And then I did the lightning into myself, and I was like, oh.
Boom.
And for all of Melee, that was my killer move. I loved killing people with that. Like, Ness was my main up until, honestly, probably up until Ultimate.
It's because it's such an original up B, It's like, oh, you have to aim yourself. Ooh, that's different.
Yeah, because your first reaction is, this doesn't jump. Like, he has no triple jump, and then you realize you can do it, and then you go over to your friend's house and do it, and everyone's like, what the fuck? And
it goes so much further, and like if you aim it against them, it's a great hit. Like, yeah, so that was awesome. And that's kind of it, that was my second introduction to the character. But yeah, over the years, definitely as I learned more and such, it became clear, and even the style of humor that, like I said, you get from your Toby Fox games, it's crafted in this type of tone as well. It's steeped in it. There's so many moments where like you kind of are just taken off guard. Like, you get to Fourside, and then Like and instead of just like blue people attacking you or so, like a taxi just swerves off the street and into you, and you're fighting a car now. You're like, oh my god, we're in the big city. You know?
Yep.
Oh, that's a parking meter that's attacking. Like, you know, a cup of coffee is splashing on me. And again, it's just like kids, you know, walking around and having an adventure where some things, some concepts, some aspects of the world are a little too big. We're going to walk into that cafe where everyone's enjoying their coffee and you know, stumbling around the block and getting loaded up because Mr. Monopoly has taken over the businesses, you know, and putting people out of work. And you're just kind of like, oh man, like this. Yeah, you're experiencing all of that, and then you're like trying to seek out these treasures, and you eventually wander behind a building in an alleyway, and like one of the sacred sanctuary treasures is just a scrap of junk on the ground that's glowing.
Yep, just there.
And there's like wood and construction cones, and just like it's just like, yeah, a bunch of kids are just wandering around going, look, it's the magical hill over there. That's the one, you know? The first little being that talks to you and gives you your powers gets squashed like a bug.
Isn't there something so cruel and weird about that bit?
Yeah.
He's this psychic bee, and he's all these intense powers, and he helps you defeat a Starman, which is like a late game enemy you fight in the first 5 minutes. And you're like, okay, cool. I guess this guy's my friend forever. And then Porky's mom just smushes him, and it's like, what?
But aren't you going to be my Navi? You know? I thought you were going to be my, hey, look, listen, watch out. Or my Isun, you know, from Okami. Like, none of that. Just like,
no,
I'm gone. Okay,
and it's kind of nice because he's your protection early on, right?
Yeah. And then that sets the tone for like, oh, this is gonna be super goofy with all of that. There's these moments too where like it decides to just, it's like, yeah, I know you're playing the game and you're having fun, but we're going to just slow it down right now. We're going to chill out. Watch a stage show with the Runaway Five, who are the Blues Brothers, basically. Just watch a concert, and they're going to play out the full concert and enjoy it, and then go talk to them. And if you're a child who doesn't get a Blues Brothers reference, so be it.
Well, fuck you.
You know? Yeah. Or the parts where you get through an ordeal, and then Mr. Saturn's like, would you like a coffee? And you're like, yeah. And you just sip the coffee, and then like you get this scrolling text of just like, hey, how you feeling? It's been a rough go, hasn't it? It's been a while. Yeah. You gotta just sometimes take back and think about how far you've come, what you've been through, and it's just taking a moment to chill.
And the game's addressing you directly in a very sincere kind of way, where it's like it's not trying to be overly cute with it. It's just like, hey, you know, life gets a lot sometimes, and sometimes you just gotta sip some coffee. You know, you just gotta sit back, and it's like, yeah, Earthbound, I understand.
Yeah,
I'm 8, but okay.
It's a really nice, like, interstitial that occurs, you know? There's definitely an overwhelming feeling of, like, somebody who looked at other RPGs and someone who doesn't play video games looking at the way they work and going, oh, hold on a minute, let me do one of these. You know,
Woolie, it's funny you should say that. That is literally what happened.
It feels like it aggressively.
Yeah, the maker of Earthbound, Ito, he is a very interesting man that is interesting to follow in a bunch of ways, but he basically had an idea for a video game after seeing Dragon Quest, I think it was. It's been a while since I kind of did my research on this, so forgive me if I have some of the details incorrect. But and he basically went to Nintendo and was like, let me make a game. And they were like, what? And he was like, let me do one of these. And somehow he made his way in, and I think he's really fascinating because he definitely comes at games from an outsider perspective, but the conclusions he reaches, like, he's not singing off the same hymn sheet as anyone else.
Yes, I like now that now there's the writer. Well put. I like that.
No, I mean, it
yeah.
oozes Woolie. It was a good, I'm not going to explain it again, but it was really okay.
Okay, well, listen, as a former church boy who has sung hymns from a hymnal, I like the other one. All right.
Okay.
Open up this
before swine. There's another one, Woolie.
Okay, open up this treasure chest. What's in it? Whoa! It's a wet towel.
Yep.
Oh my god! It's beef jerky. Oh, like that type of just humor in the text, in the way things are done. Which
the little
then,
touch of having to call mom.
Yes,
getting
homesick. Exactly. Which, like when so like the timing of all those things makes it. Not to keep going back, but it's just like it makes it so that like when in Deltarune when Queen just goes bye and floats off camera and it's all lowercase. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the same level of just like hilarious sliding Poochie off of frame. I have to go back to my home planet now. The fact that like you get. What was it? Like, you get, like, things like, suddenly Jeff is now a buddy. Don't worry, you don't have to explain anything. And you go past your dad, and, like, Dr. Andonuts is just the worst. He's just this awful scientist that just completely ignores his son. It's like, oh, hey there, kid. Son, I mean, whatever. Anyways. And then you're like, wow, what an asshole. Never showed up. Okay, well, and Jeff is like, yeah, I'm just going to go about my business. Gonna save the day. Hey, Ness, what's up? We're best friends now, right? Right? Okay, cool.
Please take me out of here.
Yeah. And like with that much of a shitty absentee scientist dad, you finally come back around to him, and it's just like, oh, hey there, Jeff, great to see you. Hey, Ness, besides the whole bedwetting thing that Jeff does here, he's actually a pretty good kid. And you're just like, you're the worst. How did you get worse?
What's wrong with you?
You don't show up, and the one thing you do when you are around to say that he's a bedwetter? What the fuck? I set my favorite food as Hiro or gyro, the souvlaki, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just hilarious when like mom is like, "Oh, you don't have to explain anything. Here, have some Hiro and scoot up to bed." And then like you get to like a sanctuary that's like, Ness smells a slight whiff of Hiro.
So for me it was pancakes.
Pancakes,
like,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was your skill?
PK Arcade.
PK Arcade. Wow.
Yeah. What's your favorite thing? Arcade. I love if I'm a kid, an arcade is just happiness.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure.
And then there's an actual arcade in the game, but yeah, for me it's
that arcade's so fucking cool. The sharks.
There's and there's a whole back to the whole bit with like the outsider, creating the game. You can feel it especially in the way it handles exploration and like economy because like you don't walk up to objects and examine them like ever. There's only one or two times I can think of in the entire thing where you've had to walk up to an object and examine it. Every time the only thing you do is interact with people or like stuff that talks. And it felt very deliberate, but it was also very freeing because early on I'm walking through my house, looking at every object, looking at everything, and it's like, no, there's nothing here. Everything's fine. Talk to your sister, talk to the dog, talk to your mom, pick up the phone, walk out the door, right? Everything else is just non-interactable. It's like, oh, okay. That just streamlines what I need to look at and do. And then, you get to a point where there's an NPC that's just basically like, yeah, you feel free to come in and take a look at all my stuff. And when the person right before is just kind of like, yeah, how weird is it to walk through? It's kind of rude to just walk through people's houses and like dig through their drawers and shit. Like, that's super awkward. Why would anyone do that? I know some adventurers are out there having big quests where they got to do that and stuff, but I don't know. It's just kind of weird, you know?
Yeah, it's so good.
And so you're like, oh, yes, this is somebody who's like, you're not going to walk around bashing open pots for rupees. You got an ATM card and you got to go take money out, and your dad gives you an allowance, and you got to just straight up use the economy of your debit card, which is grounded in reality, to do all the things you're doing in this game. And like, you're a kid with like a giant wallet, and it's also like a wild fantasy of like, oh my God, I have $10,000.
Yeah.
Imagine all the toys and bats I can buy.
One thing I really like with it is, I think, again, it's been a while, but I think the penalty for death is losing half your money, right?
Okay, so the penalty for death is you lose half the money on your in your pocket, and anything that you store in the ATM is preserved.
I think that's such a beautiful little system.
It's really
that's
smart.
So good.
But in exchange, you keep the experience that you've earned upon death.
Yeah.
So you go back to the last save point. You don't have you lose half the money in your pocket, but you have anything you've learned along the way. But also any items you've used stay used. Anyone who's has a status ailment or anyone who's passed out is still passed out. It's just Ness who comes back. You know, so you're not in a perfectly fresh state. You're basically like, imagine that the battle you died, imagine you got life back, and then you teleported to a save point. Everything else you've done at that point stays locked in, and all problems need to be fixed at that point. So sometimes it's better to just be like, no, I'm going to turn this off and restart my save, because I don't want to lose all those things I spent on that fight trying to survive.
Sure. But yeah, I think it's a good system of doing it, because it does give death weight. In a way that is not like the like controller crushing fury of I have to go back X amount of time, although it can be a bit of that as well.
And here, as we're talking about this, I have to get to the stuff that is wild and frustrating.
Okay, no, that's fair. Like the last time I played this through was about 2 years ago. And I do remember thinking, this is a rougher experience than I remember.
Combat has moments where it's just, it's what they're looking for from you is just kind of a coin toss, essentially. Which is funny coming off of
I get
Fear and Hunger.
Very true. Very true.
Early on, there's definitely, I mean, okay, so this I knew about already, and it's one of the best things ever. When you over level past the enemies in the area, you walk into them and they just explode.
Yeah, so good.
They run away from you and you just hit them and boom, give me that XP. You're not a threat. Never mind wasting your time with this random battle.
That's such a like ahead of its time gameplay mechanic.
Incredible.
Like,
but there are things that occur where you're like, okay, you just have to grind, because walking through this, fighting the challenge as it's been presented to you, and for the most part, I don't avoid fights. You know, I try to get as much XP as I can walking towards it, but I'm not gonna. But I don't like grinding per se. There's some points you hit where it's like you're nowhere near strong enough to handle the journey in, much less the boss. And if you do, you're not really going to get a chance to refill your PP. Like, that's a major, like, you know, and balancing your MP and is it's definitely like the way, even like, yeah, you're playing SMT, you're playing Persona. That's a big part of it. You know, there's a managing your mana is kind of like a time. It's a timer in a way. It's a governor of how much you can do. In this case, early on, I kind of was using it liberally as if it were a game that was all about regularly casting. And you learn a couple brutal lessons where it's like, no, if you're at 0, you can't really use anything else, and then you won't be able to heal. You might be out of items.
Yeah. And I would say it's restrictive to the point that it stops you playing with the game's systems. And that to me is like when MP management goes too far. I think it should be a consideration, but it should never deter you from like trying out different shit.
It certainly did at points, and it also made it extra difficult when you consider the how small your backpack is.
Yes.
You are struggling to hold items, which again might be the point in some cases. I know, like a old Resident Evil games, there's like the intended small inventory is a part of the design. In this case, it really just amounted to like tossing things regularly. Using the delivery system helped,
and
but
I would say it's also quite a frustrating system to navigate.
It takes a long time to essentially call a delivery person, put the 3 things in. Eventually the delivery fills up with your sister's storage, and then getting it back at a time. And there's moments of clunkiness to how much you can have on you. And like your equipment that you're wearing takes up 4 slots at all times. And if you want to just spend the remaining ones on, like a couple healing, perhaps some attacking stuff, you just kind of are like picking up plot items. And there's always, always, always plot items that you no longer need, but you don't know when you're done with them, So like there's keys that open specific doors and pencil erasers that erase pencil blockers, which again, the absurdity is hilarious. But you just like being like, okay, it's been like a dungeon and a half. I think I don't need this anymore for now. I hopefully won't need it to have to run back and get it if I run into a wall. But I'm afraid to not have it on me because the fight in is so brutal, and in some cases, just because you fight in and beat the challenge or the boss doesn't mean the threats go away. You have to fight out. Sometimes
and
you get
there are some of those late game enemies that are so strong that you really want to like burn them with your best attacks nearly immediately, because the cost of using your best attack is going to be less severe than the damage they will do to you in turn 1.
Exactly. And furthermore, if you're going to do the thing that costs 20 PP and it'll have a chance at killing, you might as well spend that instead of spending the one that costs 12 twice,
Yeah.
You hit moments like the department store in Forside. That thing is, when the lights go out, that thing's bullshit, man. That, like, the fights in that department store are just so much above where, I was at. Like, it was just brutal. And, like, you lose Paula at that point. So you're down to just you and Jeff, and it's like, what the fuck was that? Like, it was a bit nuts. Stonehenge gets pretty fucking nuts.
Man, the cavemen around there, they will fucking just rock your shit. Mm-hmm. So, here's to me what the battle system of that game is. I feel like the battle system of that game is kind of like them considering everything on what does this move do? What does this item do? What are the attacks this enemy has? I think they consider everything individually without maybe taking into consideration the overall experience and how it's all going to tie together, like taking into account what level are you likely to be by here. And there's a lot of old SNES RPGs like that, but yeah, it is not the smoothest experience for sure.
There's a whole weird aspect to I, as someone who really doesn't like random battles, I'm so happy that you can see enemies on screen. Anytime there's a game that shows me the encounter before it happens, I just infinitely prefer that. However, the nature of the spawn being a bad roll sometimes is such where you can just turn the screen and like be 180 and like you're surrounded and then you're surrounded again. And a run that was empty last time actually involved 5 fights this time,
Yes.
Walking out a door and back in to just make sure to roll again because you're like, fuck that insane encounter waiting for me, is like... Yeah, those things are like, that's where the 1994 and 1995 kind of starts to show,
Definitely,
when you continue as well, you don't get your PP back, mind you. So that's another thing that kind of is like, okay, well, consider the cost of just reloading your save. And yeah, the stuff, there's a bunch of stuff that as well that like kind of just one-shots you, and like in some cases you're using Jeff to try to uncover what you can info-wise to get to that weakness, but like the amount of times where you just get one-shotted by like a system, something
those
that has
exploding trees.
Yeah, the exploding trees. Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly. You know, and I'm like, is there a defense against this? I don't know, but I haven't found any yet. All I know is the rolling system is that if you kill something before you die, then you don't die, which is nice.
yeah. If you can tab through the exploding tree, you can end the battle before you die. Because I think it kills you 100% of the time, but the key is to just mash it fast.
I just, you know, and I've also made it to bosses with like, I fought through the cave and it was brutal. And then I got to the boss with 0 resources. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. Walking back out to get resources, I can't do. This is fucked. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, I did though. As you get the party and such together, you start to be able to create more, prevention strategies. And such. So yeah, and then you hit again though, for all those negative moments, you hit these moments where it's like, let's go have a slice of magic cake? What? Are these children getting high? And then we cut to Pooh for the first time, you know, like in his sky city.
The last time I was playing through this, I had completely forgotten about Pooh's like dream hallucination. It's fucking insane.
Go meditate. All right, don't be distracted. Ignore all of that. Become one with the cosmos. Here come your ancestors. All right, hey Pooh, do you want to reach enlightenment? Okay, it's going to cost you your legs. Is that okay? It's going to cost you your arms. Is that okay? Okay, you're good with that? All right. Well, what if I took your ears away? How about that?
Sir, I'm 8.
You know? All right, what about your eyes? What if I removed, like, just, you're like, oh, what the fuck? You know? And this kind of like this is you're kind of waiting for that moment of like, and then there's a lesson, right? And it's like, yeah, it's kind of like let go, but then the ancestry is just like, great, now I can possess your body.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
I don't know, like I think all throughout Earthbound there is like this kind of profound fear of being an adult, and it's kind of amazing. And yeah, that feeling again, adulthood is this weird thing over there. It doesn't really make sense. Like even shit like that, it doesn't quite add up, but that nearly adds to that feeling of like, wait, what the fuck is like adult life? Like, this doesn't...
You know what it is? Adult life is standing around in Club Stoic going, yes, concordantly, vis-a-vis the way that I believe society needs to go. And then the person that they're talking to is like, what? Yes, no, totally. Like, you go to Club Stoic, which is just a fucking insane, like, hipster-ass smelling your own farts community of people staring at a rock on stage. You know,
Jesus Christ, I forgot about that.
They're staring at a rock, and like the waiter's like, yeah, I don't know, these people are weird and their conversations are stupid, but hey, it makes money and they tip well. You know, and you're like, okay. And you just listen in to hear these weird, adult conversations, and that's what adulthood is, you know? It is your dad never being around, even when you're at home. Even when you're in your own house, dad's on the phone going, hey, son, I'm proud of you. Don't work too hard, though. Make sure you take a break. But I know you're up to some good stuff. And you're just like, oh, yeah, dad is always at work. He's never here. He's literally always gone. You know, that's what adulthood is.
It's interesting, like, is your read on that Ness's dad is a hard-working dude trying to provide for his family, or is he a shitbag?
So... my read, based on his words, is that he's not a shitbag, but he is the dad that is putting work above all else because he's on his way to either a promotion or fucking karoshi. You know, like workplace death. He's sleeping under the office table. He's going out for drinks with the boss. He's not coming home anytime soon because he's putting in the hours, right?
Gotcha.
A hard-working Japanese dad in the mid-90s, a salary man.
Yeah, he is the most normal dude, and that's kind of interesting as well.
And that's why he's depositing $10K in your wallet, in your ATM, as you get stronger and as you go on, the money starts being like insane. He's like, hey, yeah, you're up to good things and you're saving the world and all that. That's really good. Here's $25K. Spend it wisely.
What? Yep.
Yeah. And mom is just like, okay, well, I'm trying to wash the dog. Oh, here come my steamy soaps. You know, if you're homesick, you can call. But mom's just proud of you, and that's all there is to it. You know, trying to keep the home together. So, yeah, that's what it is. It's this weird adulthood thing. And then there's also, even in the realm of being a kid, some kids are just shit. Some kids are fucking assholes. Fucking Pokey, man. Just what a shit. You know?
Oh my
Nothing
God,
to it.
Pokey.
Nothing to it. You know, he just sucks. And I love how when he's moving up in the world and he brings his parents with him to Forside and he's, you know, whatever, taken over, he's being your Gary in such a worse way. You go back home to his house and his little brother is still there in the room. His family just left him behind. They just left him.
It's unbelievable. I remember like starting that game and Pokey's in your party.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do anything.
Nothing.
And he keeps like crying and hiding and stuff. And it's really, really, when I first played through that game, I spent so long being like, what is with this fucking dude? And I'd encounter him out in the world and like, it's not sinister at first.
Yeah.
He's just doing his thing.
We hung out.
Yeah,
we're neighbors.
And he's like being a bit dismissive, but he's like being kind of, you know,
nosy and mean. Yeah.
And then it just keeps going.
Yep. It's that shit kid in the neighborhood. We all, you know the one, and you're just like, yeah, something's fucking wrong with that kid. He sucks.
Who is your shit kid, Woolie?
I mean, look. There was...
Woolie, were you the shit kid?
I was not the shit kid. No, I was not the shit kid. The shit kid, there were two of them. Well, there was one shit kid who was from church, who was just like, just annoying to everybody and would lash out and, you know, try to fight people for no reason. But there was... No, the shit kid was the kid who fucking stole from everybody at school and probably stole my Game Boy Color back in the day, and disappeared and basically at some point definitely stole cash when I was going to buy Ocarina of Time, like wild shit. And
could you still buy Ocarina of Time?
I eventually did, because the kid then fucked off and got wasted, stole a truck and then crashed it into something on his street immediately afterwards, and then got arrested and then went to court, and then they just kind of piled on all the other shit that was stacked up, and I got a check in the mail for the stolen money eventually. So that was nice that got handled, you know, through the legal system.
Okay, but for a second there, I saw this kid crashing in the truck and him just being unconscious, and you kind of coming along and being like, Ocarina Time is out today, so I'm
that would be lovely, but unfortunately it was not like that. And at the time there was no proving that it was him, but he was definitely flashing and showing people that he did, and they were just, and the school was like, no, we can't act on it because we don't have the confirmation for, and it was just like, but anyway, that kid, that's the shit kid.
So you know? I remember my shit kid was one of my best friends, and it still is. I still know him today. He was a friend of mine who has since turned into an incredibly cool dude, but as a kid, he was that kid who just constantly lied, like all the time about everything. And it's so like, you'd be watching a TV show with him and he'd tell you about an episode that never happened. And you'd be like, and you know, you're kind of like, in your head, you're like, why are they doing this?
Compulsive.
And I always remember there was one time where he was also like, he really wanted to be in with like the cooler crowd. And so sometimes he'd like pretend that he wasn't into the shit he was into. So I would go to this kid's house like 5 p.m. We'd watch Dragon Ball Z. We'd watch the episode from the day before, and then we'd watch today's one. And then we'd theory craft and everything. And we were so into this shit. We're so into Pokemon, so into like Digimon, all this kind of stuff. And so then I remember we were out with one of our friends once, and it was like this guy that our other friend really wanted to impress. And I was like going, how's that Digimon game? And he goes, what Digimon game? And I was like, you rented the Digimon game earlier. Like, genuinely just asking.
Yep.
And he's like, unlike you, I don't play Digimon.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God.
Oh God,
and
I've been
I was
there.
like, I was so frustrated, but Woolie, this has a good ending. I said, so we were kind of arguing back and forth, and it gets like heated, and we're like shouting at each other. I'm like, Mike, like, why are you pretending? Like, this is so fucking stupid. Like, just because you want to impress Manuch or whatever, like, this is so fucking dumb, you know? And then he, like, his face is like red, and like he's really angry, and he just goes, John, did you ever see the disc? Did you ever see the box? Then shut your fucking mouth. And we're like 14, okay? And I just kind of pause, and I just go, I never said it was for the PlayStation. And Manuch just looks at him and goes, oh, he's got you there. And Mike does a 180 and goes straight home.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's it. Just slides out of frame. Pokey stuff.
Yeah. And like, he was so good at lying, you would know that he's lying, but you could never get him. It was one of the only times I got to be like, Mike, that isn't real. And
that's beautiful.
I still get warm when I'm still friends with this man. I love him dearly. We've been through some shit, me and him. I still think of that moment, and I'm just like, oh yeah. Oh,
John leveled up.
It's like
his IQ went up. His guts went up.
Yep. Yeah, totally.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
Anyway, that's Pokey.
No, yeah. So I've absolutely had that. I had, there's definitely been more. So yeah, of the shit kids, there's also the ones which, unfortunately, there's more than one where like, yeah, the compulsive lying bit, we're going to be chill in person, but as soon as someone else is around, we're going to like shit on you or try to find angles of like someone else to a vector of attack. Cause as long as I position myself behind the fire, then I can direct the line of fire elsewhere, you know? And yeah, the weirdness of every time it's a particular skill I think I've developed where, there's been two prominent nonstop insane liars in my life that you can see if you're talking to them the moment you say something. There's a moment where their eyes light up, they recognize the subject, they check out completely from what you're saying, and they're just waiting to interrupt and one up with, I did that actually better.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh yeah, no, that's like me or my uncle actually. Totally. He knows he did it, and I went with him and we saw it, and it was the best. Yeah. I can't believe you're just doing it now actually. Like, and you're just like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter what. You can test it, you can make things up, and they will always have that, like, that one up is necessary. It's a requirement for them to feel better about themselves in the situation. You can't do anything about it.
And like, as a kid, you don't really have the like experience to sort of be like, oh, that's because this person feels bad about themselves in some way.
Massive
and they are scared to just be, you know. But I've also been the shit kid on occasion, I will admit.
Okay.
So I didn't have any like little brothers or sisters. So I would like say if you go to like your parents take you to like, I don't know, a dinner party or a friend's house, you kind of realize that you can just like fuck with kids that are younger than you, and they won't understand. Like, they won't. Can I tell you a really bad story? So this one time, it was like me and then this kid. I think he was like maybe 2 or 3 years younger than me, and then his sister. And we started doing this thing where his sister was like, he was being like a little brat, and then his little sister was like, or his sister was like, okay, I'm going in there and I'm gonna tell Dad that you're being a brat and you're gonna get in trouble. And he was like, no, please, no. And then she was like, John, come with me and let's go tell Dad. And I was like, okay. And so then she takes me out into the hallway, closes the door, and she turns around and goes, I'm not actually gonna tell him anything, but we're gonna make him think that I did. And I was like, oh, interesting. So then we go back in. And then she's like, "You're in so much trouble. Yeah, you're grounded tomorrow. He's taking away all your toys." And I was like, "Wow." But then I think I started to run away with it because I was like, "Okay, Mark, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to talk to your dad for you and I'm going to get you out of trouble. We're going to sort this out, buddy." And then I went out and I closed the door and I stood there for a couple of minutes. And then I came in and I was like, "Hey, Mark, listen, bad news, little buddy. That did not go well."
Oh my God, man.
And I was like, "He's going to take away your duvet. He's going to take away your bed sheets tonight. You know what? I am so sorry about that. But you know what? I'm going to go back in there.
We can turn this thing around."
That's what I was like. I was like, I think there's a way that we can. And eventually it got to the point where I was like, yeah, he said that he has a cage downstairs that you're going to have to stay in.
What
and
the
I think his sister was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Jesus Christ, like the discovery that this bit works and then just immediately going to 11.
I think all well now in fairness, Woolie, there was actually several stages between the losing the bed sheets and the cage. It very gradually. I think though, the knowledge that you could fuck with someone younger than you, all the older sibling malice just came out in me.
You see, but the thing that like the end note to the whole fucking hustle is just, all right, but hey, I smoothed it out, but you owe me one. Over nothing.
Okay, yeah, no, that's
all right.
Oh, that's good.
I'm
that's
looking out for
real
you.
Good.
Never forget, just pure lies, pure bullshit.
Okay, I don't want to drive this tangent any further into the ocean than it's gone. You know, Hulk Hogan would literally do that to other wrestlers.
Oh, go and negotiate on their behalf.
Not even. So the first time that The Undertaker beat Hulk Hogan for the world title, you know, he hits him with the tombstone onto like a steel chair, and Hogan's like, "You really fucked up my neck. I'm gonna have to be out for 3 months now."
Okay.
And then he'd go out for 3 months and he'd go shoot a movie. And then he'd come back and he'd be like, "Well, Taker, it's time you drop the title." And Taker be like, "Listen, I really understand after everything you've done for me." There's an interview where Undertaker's like, 12 years later, I watched that footage. His head came nowhere close. This was like a veteran move older wrestlers would pull with younger wrestlers. You injured me. I'm not going to get you in trouble. You owe me one. So Hulk Hogan is the ultimate. What we're saying is that Hulk Hogan is the ultimate shithead kid.
What the fuck? The Hulk Hogan equals Pokey.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan. Same person. It's the same person. The same little politicking little shit. Just climbing his way to the top of the ladder.
I remember when Hulk Hogan pushed me out of the way and got in a helicopter and flew off.
Do you remember when Pokey took all 590 pounds of Andre the Giant and just body slammed him at WrestleMania 3? Because I do.
And showed off the pythons. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. That's such a fucking... You know what? That's Carney shit, right?
Carney shit.
That's the origins. Makes perfect sense. Anyway. Yeah, so just what a fucking ride. So listen, here's what it is, man. Okay. I did my damnedest and I did not beat it. I really, really tried. I really, really wanted to.
No, and in fairness, like, I think the purpose of this podcast should not be 100% completion.
But it's hard to not want to come back with the full discussion, you know?
But here's the thing, Woolie. I think now you may continue with Earthbound or you may not. We will probably do at least one more episode of this podcast. Right?
Perhaps.
Now, look, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be real. It's going off the fucking rails. And this podcast is not, like, it's not making it to end of year. Like, we can be real here, Woolie, right? let's be honest with our audience here.
It is February.
It is February. We are on episode 3, and we have entered what I call the twilight. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'd say the energy everyone gave the feedback from last time has been okay. So we're spending our level 3s immediately. Where the fuck are we going?
The answer is nowhere, everyone. The answer is cancellation. Look, glad everyone enjoys the podcast. I got some bad. We're on the way out.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, but here's I made it though. Pushing as best as I could. I got to the cup of tea. I took that break. I dropped into I got the 7th sanctuary, and then I fell into the lost underworld where the dinosaurs are roaming.
Okay.
So I'm there, you know?
Yeah, you are not far from the end, but I would also say, like, you've still got a couple of hours.
Okay.
So I think that was a good point to stop. And we absolutely have to come back and discuss that ending.
Okay.
Because it is something.
I mean, I'm feeling pieces get put into place with these moments of like, hey, just checking on your name, you know? And again, like if the coffee was the first third and tea is the second third, that it would make sense that there's a last third to it, you know. But it certainly feels like as I'm completing the sanctuaries, you know, that I'm like, all right, I got one more to go, and then I do know, of course, like the Gygus or Gigas, I don't know what the pronunciation, but that sprite, that fight, that's an infamous known thing. So I'm like, I know I know whatever the fuck is coming there is waiting, but I'm in that zone of like, the end, you're getting to the end of that Persona game, and you're like, all right, the calendar seems like I should be done right now, and the theme is singing, this is where we say farewell, but we're not saying farewell because there's another couple dungeons to go. But I don't know, like, it's the couch gag in The Simpsons. The wall is pulling back, and I don't know where it's gonna stop.
Yeah,
you know.
So I think it's around. I think Earthbound's like around 20 hours. It's not like a massive, big, long one.
Yeah, that's what How Long to Beat said. I did check, and again, having wanted to do this on the channel, you know, that's something I'd looked into. There's no way I would have been able to make it this far if I was streaming it at the same time. So I was only able to do this with my own time off hours, as going as hard as I could. But the feeling of like, I'm sure the streamlined going from person key objective to key objective, knowing exactly what to buy and where is a different kind of pace from I'm in a desert and I'm wandering and oh my god, I just picked up a contact lens. In the middle of a desert. You know, like talking to everybody and then exploring and then going back to think, like, there is a slow first time's pace to taking this in that Did you remember last time I was like, you gotta just vibe with this game. You gotta vibe. If you rush it, you're not gonna vibe.
So much, like, I think if you break Earthbound down into what it is mechanically, you are getting maybe 1/3 of the experience of this game. Like, so much about it is just like getting in that fucking space.
I totally understand, you know.
So, well, I guess, like, final thoughts here. Like, how you feeling about Earthbound?
I will, like, I'm happy that I played it on my own time with the ability to go and fully lock in. If I did, and hey, once again, I did click record, so we got some footage, you know.
Really?
Yeah. We have some moments. We have some stuff. I like the idea of having some B-roll that I can show off. For example, the one thing I will say that I do wish I was Let's Playing live for, the fucking pop-off when you fight Belch for the second time. And there are moments when, so Paula leaves and then Pooh's gone and your power level drops because you don't have the same party member, and the difficulty of the game continues to rise, but you're now gimped by the fact that you don't have the inventory, you don't have the moves, and if anything they had on them, for example, the Franklin badge was in her pocket, then you can't deflect lightning anymore. And boy, that makes things harder. And so that whole bit where I set it up and I figured out, I'm like, oh, we're going Jeff, we're going multi-bottle rockets, right? The super bottle rockets that just like lay in. You set up the full boss play, like, and I'm like, I'm saving my full burst for when I hit these bosses. And shielding up, Ness is going in heavy. I have a lot of luck, so I'm cracking with the bat and getting a sequence where I walk into Belch and he's like, oh, remember me? I got so much tougher. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And fucking set up the play, lay in the damage with Ness, lay it in with Paula. Jeff sends off the bottle rockets, and then from out of nowhere, Pooh comes flying in from the sky with the new star attack. I'm like, oh!
Unbelievable.
I didn't know. I'm like, when is he coming back?
Good.
When is he coming back? In the middle of the fight!
I know, because you think it's going to be, think he's going to be just waiting somewhere, and it's such a hard fight. It's fucking brilliant. There is a moment, Woolie, that I don't want to spoil.
Pop-off, dude.
There's a moment later I don't want to spoil, and it's a little more gradual than that, but it got a bigger, not even pop off, but a full on out of me. Just yeah.
Okay, I'm looking forward. I mean,
I'm so glad that you enjoyed this so much, Woolie, because I think there was a moment towards the start where you were like, this is such a charming game. I was like, that sounds positive, but I think I need to wait and see where we're going here.
Yes, I'm very. So there's two things that I know about myself that I'm capable of doing. One, this is what the channel is pretty much based on at this point. I know how to transport my brain back to 1994, right? I know how to play it with eyes that are like at of the time. I'm playing Half-Life 2 for the first time right now.
Oh, what?
You know what I mean?
How are you finding it?
Besides the motion sickness, I'm having a great time.
Wait, do you get motion sick with first-person stuff?
I sure do.
Me too.
Yeah, it's real
and
rough.
It's a complete roll of the dice whether it's going to happen to me or not. There's some games it doesn't happen.
Yes.
There's some... Do you know what game I was really excited to play, and within 15 minutes... I was like green. Umurangi Generations.
Oh, yes.
It made me so like violently ill, and it sucked because then the maker, he comes in, he messages me on Discord and he's like, hey, I think you'd like my game. And I was like, dude, I have watched several video essays about your game and it seems rad. I even own it. But it makes me so like I had to be honest with him that I can't. Bummer. Yeah, and there's no motion sway. It's fucking weird. It's
Yeah, I have to go through that, especially because the subject matter in particular, the fact that it's like Maori based, there's a lot of the New Zealand kind of culture to it, and I've learned a lot about like that, having like learned about that haka and te reo Maori. All this cool stuff is like, I know that's an aspect of what's going on with how this game was developed and cool things. But
for a second there, I was like, there's like a Maori aspect to motion sickness?
Not to motion sickness.
Yeah, no. Umarung, of course. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But no, it sucks. And I've learned over the years what makes, like, there's things that make it like worse in particular. FOV is a huge difference, depending on, how old the game is, how it handles, just the softness of turning and of like walking and things like that.
Yeah.
And the big part of it is something called a comfort cage, which is, brief tangent here. You especially get this in VR games. When I used to watch the old games of Wolfenstein and Doom back in the day, and then, into like snapshot, really fast-paced FPSs, I would feel it really awfully because moments where the person goes face first into the camera and into the wall and strafes until they hit the corner and make me sick, right?
Yeah.
that's a strategy to kind of like, just move quickly around the environment in a lot of cases. And you just, it to me, it feels like you're taking my eyeball and pressing it up against the brick wall and then sliding sideways. I hate it, right? It makes me feel super nauseous.
Yeah, it sucks.
The concept of a comfort cage is something that you need in a VR game, especially where anything that comes too close to your head where the camera is, there's a collision that's invisible around it that stops anything from getting too close. So if you
that's wild.
A comfort cage will stop the wall from touching the camera. It'll stop it at a certain distance in front of you, which is what happens in real life. We don't shove our iris into a wall,
No.
So that's what it is. You need settings like that to help make it.
It sucks because like I was real excited to play that. My home or my house.wad, the Doom map that someone made.
Okay.
It's like this big, massive like Doom map. I know about it because like it some guy made a video about it, and I think he mentions one of my videos in it, and so I just got a million fucking DMs to play this game, and so I was like, cool, I'll play it on stream, completely forgetting about all this. And over the course of that like 2.5 hour stream, you can basically watch me melt. Where like I'm trying to force through it, and it seems really cool, and I get real low energy, and I felt it's one of the first times I felt bad on stream because I was like, this surely is not entertaining to anyone because I am just dying. And it was a bummer, but it happens.
Currently going through it, and Reggie as well. We both feel it. The buggy cart and the things that are just really, really intense. Anytime there's a wall or a hallway that's really, interior is way worse than exterior. I
would be curious to hear from people in the comments, like, if you play a lot of first person, is this something you can develop legs for? Is it a kind of seasickness thing?
I imagine so, because the whole thing with me also not being used to mouse and keyboard and stuff is people the audience, a lot of people that are watching grew up with a laptop or a computer on a desk in front of them with a keyboard right here and a mouse right here. And for me, that is not video games. For me, video games are on a TV over there on the couch with a controller in my hand and someone next to me. So
same.
That experience is very different, and getting used to the screen right there and the speed of the pace of these games getting more demanding over time definitely gives people more comfort. Not every game does it. I can play Titanfall, which is wall running and crazy amounts of speed, and be totally fine, but
I got it with Titanfall. I didn't get it with Overwatch.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure they have settings in place and lots of research into that too. The most wild feeling was playing Doom or Doom Eternal. I forget which one has the retro style levels in it, and the regular Doom game is fine, and then you go into the retro levels, and then I feel sick. And then go back to the regular game.
Because original Doom has the crazy running speed and also the insane field of view.
Yep. So it's like in the same game you switch to retro, and I feel Anyway.
Anyway.
So, but all this to say that I can put myself back into the frame of mind of being it, playing it in the 90s or so. So I'm experiencing it and trying to keep that in mind, and trying to keep that in mind with the flaws and the problems I'm having with it. I also know that when I'm putting the pressure on myself to try and get far enough into this to try and beat it or so, it's a clock that's not real, right? If I was just playing this Sunday afternoons as a kid, I just want this to last. I want to come back to it, live in the world for a couple hours, have fun, and come back out. So there doesn't need to be a rush for any of that stuff,
and we were under a little more pressure because basically the way this worked is we recorded the last episode late, and then this episode, because of the way the Friday fell,
still on time.
Me and Woolie basically had 2 weeks to play each game.
Yeah. But at the end, so with knowing all of that, I'm like, here's the stuff that I think is, there's the flow of combat, and a lot of these things are surely problems that, I imagine in the future I'll get smoothed out, right? Sounds like a lot of folks are very happy with the way Mother 3 plays. And I hear that about, in a similar Fear and Hunger 2 kind of way, where it's like, I would like to see improvements on these things and quality of life.
So, Woolie, you know why I recommended you Earthbound.
You did make an implication.
Because one day we got to get to Mother 3.
Yeah.
Now, look, what I'll say is, I actually didn't play Mother 3 it came out, and I didn't play it for about 10 years, despite the fact that Earthbound was one of my favorite games of all time. And I didn't play it because, and I know you haven't experienced the end of Earthbound, but I was like, well, how the fuck do you top that? What could you possibly do?
Yeah.
Woolie, I know you took a peek at my 100 games of all time list.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see where Mother 3 was?
It's up there, ain't it?
It's number 2, baby.
Yeah. And you know what? So I have another friend that it's his favorite game, So yeah, this is energy that I've certainly encountered. I also bought a really cool there's a cool con called Too Many Games where they have ROM hacks of things on a physical cartridge, and someone made a translated Mother 3 cartridge with Earthbound on it as well as a Game Boy Advance game.
Nice.
Super cool. So I've been waiting for an opportunity to use at some point, certainly. But
we went to Too Many Games last year, Woolie, and I was actually thinking about it recently. Do you remember I think it was the T-Mobile staff employee we met?
The phone caper. Yep.
Oh, but do you remember specifically the anime fan we met?
Yep. The dude who was just unimpressed by anything and everything. Me
and Woolie met the most unimpressed youth of all time. And do you remember? So I think he saw anime wallpaper on my phone or something like that, and we start talking about anime, and he's listing all these anime, but every anime he's listing is from 5 years, the last 5 years. And we're kind of what have you ever seen Cowboy Bebop or Neon Genesis or anything like that? And you remember what he says? Nah, man, I don't watch anime with them old graphics.
He literally starts going off about how Cowboy Bebop is some old man shit and Ava is some boomer shit and all of that, and it's literally getting to I think it got to Gurren or so everything.
Yeah, it did.
And he's get out of here with that. It's okay, God, if it didn't come out in the last 3 or 4 years, it doesn't matter. Also, if it's not in Shonen Jump, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and so I was okay. I was what's your favorite anime of all time? Because at this point, I just want to hurt this fucking dude, Woolie. And he's Code Geass. Mm-hmm. I kind of square my shoulders and I'm okay. Pretty brave to have a 6 out of 10 anime as your favorite. And do you remember what he said?
What did he say?
He just looks at me and he goes, "Yeah, that's because I'm real." Cut to me and Woolie stumbling out of that fucking shop, just being "These kids, Woolie, they're a different breed, man. They're a different breed."
He can't stop him. It was crazy. He tanked. I forgot. It got to the point of where it was we were talking about it. It's we got to we do YouTube stuff or whatever, and it's oh yeah, okay, you seem to know what you're talking about and everything, and the seeing the channel and stuff, which in some cases it's not, you're very humble about it, but in some cases it's oh shit, whoa, cool, hey. And
at some point someone will look up the channel and be wait,
whoa,
what?
That's crazy, yeah. He saw and just tanked it
nothing.
Okay. Anyway, unimpressed. Yeah, that dude. Anyway, so the youth.
Yeah, the youth. I think it was funny because it was a long fucking saga, but the other phone shop we had to go to, we didn't say anything, and one of them just comes up and is "You guys are something, aren't you?" Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And we were just like, "What do you mean?" And he was I'm guessing influencers or something like that, and we're just yeah, no, you nailed us. And he was I got it,
yeah. I mean, I definitely was rocking the con fit, but still,
you were for sure.
Anyway, so anyway, that's it. So I made it as far as I could, and again, when I had that second sip of tea and it scrolled by, and I was okay, this feels like a point. I wish I could come back in and have talked from the bottom on it.
I would much rather that you play these games and enjoy them and don't try and mash through them, because Earthbound is not a game you want to rush through, and neither is some of the other shit that I'm going to be recommending at various points.
Yeah, and the thing is as well is I know that even rushing through it, not only are you killing the vibe, but you're going to be fighting on more and more underleveled, unfair circumstances where you have to go grind to get stronger, and I don't want to be like frustrated at the final dungeons being completely bullshit because you know I'm just not at that point. Yeah, so I realize that. Like I also just I really don't enjoy grinding, but
no,
I know that of the time this is what it was. This is what you do,
and there's definitely moments in Earthbound where like you kind of have to, which is unfortunate, but yeah, like there's literally stuff that I am planning to recommend you where even the idea of completing it doesn't make sense.
Well, some might argue that Fear and Hunger was one of those.
I did not expect you to beat Fear and Hunger. Did you? And I think with that comment we got, Woolie beat Fear and Hunger like Guts. John beat it like Griffith.
Like Griffith.
Yeah.
Yeah. With a whole chat to sacrifice to the Behelit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, obviously, you take a look at our pantheon of greatness. It's not Undertale. Ooh, hey, Earthbound goes.
Okay, first of all, is Earthbound better than missing a fighting game tournament? I'm gonna say it is.
I'm gonna say it is. I will put that above.
I'm gonna say with my chest, I would rather play Earthbound than miss a fighting game tournament.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I do in fact concur. Mm-hmm. Does it stack up higher than Fear and Hunger? Again, yes, it does. I'm gonna put Earthbound probably at the top of the list as the current greatest thing, the greatest experience we've had so far.
I think I have a much higher opinion of Fear and Hunger than you do. I think we have similar opinions on Earthbound, which I do think means it does beat it.
Okay.
So congratulations to Earthbound, the current top... What did we call our list? Did we give it a name? Do we need to give it an official name?
Pantheon of
greatness. Earthbound is currently the very peak of the Pantheon of Greatness. Unless our next topic can knock it off. Let's find out.
All right. So,
okay, sorry, Woolie, just before we move on, can I just say that I am so happy you enjoyed Earthbound. It's such a great feeling to share something you love with one of your closest friends and just see it create so much light and joy inside them. So can me and you just take a moment and just appreciate that that's happened?
Let's do that. Let's just take a minute to let the butterfly land on our heads and rest.
Yeah.
I feel good.
Okay. I feel great. How are you feeling? Because that's what I care about more than anything.
I'm rested. I'm doing great. You know, I was streaming the other day and there was some buzzing going on. I don't quite know what was happening and to be honest, I had important things to take care of. Word has been coming at me about, situations and endeavors, perhaps struggles. I don't know, things occurring on your side of the pond. And I will say, I have resisted the urge to take a little peek to see what was going on. So, I don't know. There have been already preemptive compilations apparently put together, which I'm like, I'm I'm gonna just wait here for my friend to let me know how the month went. How'd the month go? How's your February?
Woolie, I came into this recommendation with a very specific challenge. You have a personal history with Omikron, right?
I do.
David Cage became quite a big part of your lore there for a little bit.
David Cage is somewhat of an antithesis to me, and from the old Best Friends channel. And
I'm familiar. I'm familiar.
Yeah. To my to my disadvantage, you're familiar, of course. One could argue that the entire nature of the wall of combo breakers I hit versus the ones that are on the basis of you knowing already in advance what my history has been.
I mean, who's to say? Perhaps I have a certain advantage in that the entire gaming history. Maybe the advantage comes from all the videos that exist online of you playing games. Maybe the advantage comes from the fact that I've listened to literally hundreds of hours of you podcasting and talking about every single piece of media you've played for the last, decade, maybe. But maybe you're the one who pitched this format for the podcast, and perhaps you...
Perhaps the deck is a little stacked.
Yeah, the deck is a little stacked, Woolie. You're the one who shuffled it.
And content. So,
okay, Woolie, if you were to describe Omikron in a single sentence, to sum up your feelings, your experiences, how would you describe it?
The worst game in the catalog of the worst game creator.
So, recommending it to me, Woolie, was not an act of love, was it? Take me through your process here.
My process is quite simple, because listen, for you,
Woolie, you
no,
look
it's real.
It's okay. It's okay. No one's mad. This is gonna be fine.
For you to throw out a game as beloved and as well known and as classic as Earthbound, knowing exactly that that's something I haven't experienced yet, is, I mean, admittedly, we've talked, we've known each other for a bit of a while now, but that's a perfect moment that encapsulates just how much you know about me in advance coming into the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be wild of me to throw that out in your direction. The thought was this: Saga is a lovely comic book. I know that.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
I know that you don't really read, Western comic books that much, if ever. There's not a super huge overlap. So I really was.
Generally, I like my comic material manufactured in glorious Nippon.
So the thought was that you would definitely appreciate one of the best comic books that's been coming out in the last couple of years, and I didn't necessarily assume it would be in the wheelhouse. Now, some argue, of course, that like the fact that I'm getting combo broken often is like because I'm coming in at this with basic bitch tastes.
Which I don't think is fair. I don't think that's fair.
Well, I would
also say to people who might say that, don't you talk shit about Woolie? That's what I do.
But
you fucking back off, you fucking gremlin.
But it's almost like I want to make sure you've seen this cool thing that may or may not have crossed your path,
Yeah, and I think that is the whole essence of this podcast.
That's what it is. And so that's
what it's meant to be.
Yeah, and then hey, and worse comes to worse, we end up chatting about Gunbuster anyway, which you like something like Gunbuster, where it's like, oh, John's an anime YouTuber. He definitely have seen that. And it's like, actually, you had only seen it in the year right prior.
That actually was not bad.
It was at the buzzer.
At all.
It was at the buzzer.
It was.
A couple months away from being a valid recommend.
And your logic with Saga was sound. Not a whole lot of Western comic books in here. I mean, I've got like a few of them, but yeah.
Inscription, I thought was like there's a decent chance for sure.
Weird indie game. It's a swing,
but it got notoriety, and some people definitely ended up talking about it. And it's not perfect, but there's some really really cool things about it that I thought.
There is.
There's a decent, there's maybe right. Let's. But
go okay, so just help me understand here. Saga, Inscription. And I want you to envision my hand extending through the center of the earth. Omikron. What the fuck is wrong with you?
John, we're never going to find out what happens after a counterbreaker.
Now, okay.
We are never going to find out
it happens. I understand that. I understand that there is a certain entity that must remain caged behind a level 3 counterbreaker. I understand.
And there's a point we get to, especially given, I don't know, the positive spirit of Gunbuster and Saga and Inscription, where I was also simultaneously holding fear and hunger, terror and starvation, while listening to you talk about why you couldn't make it to the one thing for one day that you had to do. And
no, I did make it to the thing. I did make it. I did show up.
That's nice. There is an energy in the air where I'm like, I'm being nice and extending these things, and I'm holding this, and you're bringing me, what you're bringing to me versus what I'm giving to you and what I'm currently holding was not very nice, John.
Okay, so let's be real here. This was not just about not wanting to get combo broken. This was about anger. This was about hatred. You said yourself, do I want to make this about hatred? You said those words, Woolie.
Those words were uttered. It was a question.
I just want to be I just want to be transparent
and
about what's happening here.
A question about can be posed
about what you have brought into this podcast.
Some might argue that the question has an answer, which is no. It could be about love. I think that there is
what?
I think there is a connection that can be built through hard times, through similar experiences.
This is the equivalent of running over your toddler with a car.
I think we can now say that perhaps we've been through similar things.
Oh, little Bobby's really starting to walk. Time to rev up the engine.
Well, hey, look, we'll see what happens with that fighting game tournament. But, look, hey.
March 9th, Leaside Collective.
Oh, yep, that's great. That's great. And RRR was definitely, just...
I think also, having gone through different stuff, debatable, but we'll leave it.
Okay, well,
Okay. So look, anyway, Woolie, this came from a place of hatred, okay? And I countered... My plan was to counter with the only force that can defeat hatred. Love. I was going to go into Omikron and I was going to find things to love. That lasted about 20 minutes.
Okay, I'm like, uh-huh.
Okay, look. I genuinely don't like just shitting on media, so I'm not going to do that all the way through here. Let's acknowledge some things about Omikron. This is a game that came out in 1999 for the PC and Sega Dreamcast, and it is an open world game where you can come at problems through multiple different ways. There are multiple ways to beat this game. There are multiple ways to beat specific problems in this game. This is a game that was originally conceived by David fucking Bowie.
David Bowie is a part of the game, and I believe was pitched the idea, which then got his participation. But the understanding of the story I have is that this was a David Cage production that was moving along, and they pitched the world to David Bowie, and he was impressed enough to want to participate, and thus loaned his music.
I have only one source on this, so I think maybe okay.
But there's a creative element as well.
There is. Well, it's interesting because if you go and you watch old interviews with David Bowie and you listen to him talk about the internet, you ever listen to those?
Oh, about like predicting where the future is going to go and
fucking insane, he as in insanely accurate, so crazy.
Yeah, he was really good at that.
So I kind of did a bit of reading up on this stuff, and I started to be like, okay, we can find some shit to like here.
Yeah, it's the spirit of what David Bowie's future internet world would look like, and the vision that he had perfectly encapsulated by the problem solving you describe, such as step 1, cuck a dead man's wife.
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We have a few steps to do before we get there, okay? Okay, so first off, things on Steam, it's actually on sale. Okay, starting to feel like there's a bit of a flow going here. The universe has led me to this game. It's got some money off. Sick. Download it on Steam. The most unplayable shit. So I open the main menu, and I am immediately met with... Look, I don't want to harp on this too much, and I don't like to use it as an excuse for things. The most dyslexia-unfriendly fonts I have ever experienced in my fucking life.
Oh, yeah.
Just... What does this menu say?
You cannot read, but it's being stylistic and internet future alien AI space demons, so it's fine as long as the style and the energy and the vibes are there. I was the one, I remember too, back in the day when trying to set up the Best Friends LP for this, going through trying to configure just all of that shit from the start before you even begin the game is aggressively fighting you.
And so I'm assuming the first option is new game, because fuck man, okay.
An easier time playing games in Japanese and figuring out what's what. Than navigating through that.
Yeah. Hit new game, and I am immediately met with a character, Kale, who leaps through a portal.
Yes.
And he begins speaking to me, Woolie.
Yes.
Me, the player. And his dimension is in danger, and only me, John, can save him. He doesn't say John. It would have been cool if he did, but he didn't. They should have said John.
To be fair, Earthbound literally says you, Woolie, the player, as well.
There are some unusual overlaps in the way that we are talking here.
Quite.
Okay?
Quite.
So I'm like, oh, that's cute. It's like meta. Interesting. I wonder where it goes. So then the opening cutscene shows, I think, Kale then dying, and I take over his body. An alien sucks out his soul.
That's about right.
Before being stopped by a mech, and then boom, you're Kale.
Checking my notes. I think that's good. Yep, that's about right.
You are Kale at about 4 frames per second. And I'm like, and it is completely unplayable on Steam.
There was a whole lot of jank work that went into getting it to run, and getting it to move when we played.
So that was work I was not willing to put in. So there's my experience with Omikron, Woolie.
I see. Okay. Well, hey, I'll tell you what you missed.
Woolie, fuck you. That's not my experience.
Okay.
I then went and I looked up some things and I looked up everything I had to do and got it to get it working. And I was like, I'm not doing none of that. I download the Dreamcast version.
You booted up the Dreamcast version.
The Dreamcast version.
Wow.
Yep. And let me tell
you
that
didn't
Dreamcast
fight through Steam. Okay.
No, like Woolie, I fucking hate that shit. I am not good at like configuring and graphics, and so I just downloaded this Dreamcast version.
Okay.
Let me tell you, Dreamcast version actually kind of rock solid. Except for one major thing we will get to.
The entirety of the video game itself.
We'll get there. So immediately, you're inhabiting Kale's body, and it's this kind of metaphysical, kind of transcendent quest to save this alternate dimension that you are now inhabiting, Omikron, from this deep danger that is real. This danger is real. It has tricked you into coming into the game, and now your soul is at stake. That is what the game is telling you. So, of course, the first thing you do is fuck this dead guy's wife with his body.
Like, I don't even know if you can say no. Like, I feel like you possess his body, go meet his wife, and she's all like, "What's going on?" And you're like, whatever you say," and then you go to bed, and then she just jumps on you, and you're like,
Yep.
Oh.
Yep, that's it. So that immediately happens.
Yep.
And then later in the game, you beat her to death. You beat the demonic version of her to death.
Correct. Yes.
And to me, I would be willing to bet that to David Cage, those are the two flavors of women.
In fact, I think he has said as much himself in quotations. Some of which have been in interviews, and others of which have been in court. But yes, in fact, one needs to do is look to his other games to see similar examples of that kind of energy. Not to mention the like. You can just imagine the image of that. There's that infamous image of him fading in as the cuck scene is playing out of the dead man's the wife that you are involuntarily like immediately forced to bang, and there is just a welcome in Omicron. Yeah, you hear? Yeah.
In case you didn't notice. This game's for adults.
There is an aspect of like, I hope you like voyeurism, and if you don't, well, I'm going to try to hit that switch on for you. Enjoy the rest of the concept that is diving into people's brains in this world.
Yeah. And it is just a shockingly boring world. Like, Woolie, for a game that takes place in so many strip clubs, it is so... Let me tell you...
Oh yeah,
I've been to a strip club
or two.
Also, thanks to just the one. Unfortunately, in real life, just the one. Oh. Thanks to everyone who did fan art of the most humiliating moment of my life.
The one moment they zoomed in on it.
Yeah, the current count is at least 3. So thank you, everyone. That is
incredible.
Maybe we'll throw them up on screen. That was anyway, but
bravo. It wouldn't be a David Cage game without tons of strip clubs and and
a short-haired woman who he just really wants to have sex with and is going to just like, your wife literally dies and then he introduces another short-haired woman, and it's like, damn, David, just buddy, just fucking okay.
Yep.
The controls are.
So just to because you're putting out there the about the wife and all that, and then of course the demon version, which you then have to beat to death later on in the game. The quote is In my games, all women are whores. Quote David Cage. That's the quotation.
And there's no editorialize it. He just said that.
Presented with or without context for this conversation. There you are. So yes.
Oh, David.
David,
buddy,
yeah. Oh, no. Just in case anyone is wondering, and in case anyone's like, oh, who's this poor creator that has been the nemesis of my career in some way. Anyway, go on, please.
Anyway, so and I'm trying to get immersed in this world. I am trying just to claw into it. And it is during that process that you get into your first fight quite early on. I believe it's... Okay, no, hang on. Let me pull up my docs. This is fucking a lot to talk about here.
Well,
it is basically the fighting system of this game. There's a combat system, a hand-to-hand combat system, and it's the equivalent of we have Tekken at home.
The camera rotates to side view and a fighting game commences.
Yeah, and it's like left fist, left leg, right leg, just like Tekken. And they're all mapped to the buttons.
So I've described... Did you have...
Okay.
Oh, no, I just want to say again, and I'm sure you've heard me perhaps back in the day talk about this, but for me, this game was... I remember we rented it. And there's a store you could rent PC games from.
You rented Omikron?
I rented Omikron when I back in the day, right? And it was a game where I was playing it with my brother, and it was like, oh, it's this adventure game, but when you get into fights, it turns into a fighting game.
The perfect video game.
Whoa!
Yeah, totally. Like, you dream of that kind of shit when you're little.
That was the thing. That was the memory I had of it, until it was booted and we had the experience years later. So yeah, fucking baited.
So I quickly discovered something with the fighting system of this game. I was like, oh, if you just tap jab, you do this kind of like punch followed by a backhand, and it's quite fast. And I know from fighting games, that can actually be a pretty good tool to frustrate your opponents.
Mm-hmm.
It was the only attack I used the entire game. Literally,
the whole way.
The whole way. I have footage to prove this. If you want to beat the combat in Omikron, just mash square the entire way.
Wow.
Normal difficulty.
So I don't remember. It's been so long since the run through. But when I was playing the fighting game parts back on the LP, I feel like there was a point I got to where I figured out some bullshit. I eventually hit a natural bullshit solution to get through them. But I believe it was much later.
Yeah. Oh no, this was minute 1 for me.
Incredible.
I lost the first fight. And then I got back, and then I tried again, and I tried this, and it just turns into you mashing the other person up against the wall. So you're fighting these demons, and you're basically just punching their skull into a wall over and over and over. And that stayed with me through, I shouldn't say the entire game, it stayed with me as far as I got. And yeah, but... The problem, Woolie, is that, okay, if I was to rank this, if I was to, like, basically assess this fighting game on its own merits, it's the worst fighting game I have ever played. Fucking give me 100 Rise of the Robots above this. Mm-hmm. It is so awful feeling. The movement is so clunky, and you feel so... And the enemies do so much damage. If I'm not, like, wall mashing them, they're beating my ass.
The worst... broken Mugen characters are infinitely more fun and playable than whatever got cobbled together here. And
give me Jesus Tom Hanks.
And there's a bit of a repeating theme with them going into different genres, isn't there?
Yes, there is, because there is also a first-person shooter mode that triggers at various points of this game. Now, Woolie, here's where my unwillingness to get the PC version working comes back to bite me. Because I am playing this on an Xbox controller, but what I'm actually playing is a Dreamcast controller. And as you will note, Woolie, the Dreamcast controller does not have a second analog stick.
It doesn't. Oh, God.
So would you like me to describe to you what the controls of this game were for me?
I mean...
Right trigger, strafe. Left trigger, strafe left. Blue button on the left, fire. Left analog stick, look around. Left D-pad, move.
Oh no. Okay, because we had such stupid control troubles back then, but I feel like you have your own world of that now. Oh my God.
So
on the same side of the controller.
And just to be clear, this shooting could be brutally difficult at times. It
time
was
sensitive, even.
We'll get there. It's agony to play.
I'm reliving through your words right now.
It was misery, just dragging this character through the world. Whenever the guy with the gray beard or the gray skin, he shows up and he creates a save point for you, and that's how you know you're entering a first person.
Oh yes, the creation of the save point. Yes, right.
Yeah. When I see him eventually, the wails that came out of me were like they were like ghost pirates being freed from a cursed treasure chest, Woolie.
Okay, John, when I'm describing the experience I have with the games and you're like living vicariously through those words, I am experiencing this too. It's actually quite interesting to have
Oh good! Good, Woolie! I'm glad that this is interesting for you.
Did you click on advice at any point? Did you try to look?
I couldn't. So the very last session I ever had with this game, I asked Michelle what that said because I couldn't fucking read it, and she told me it said advice.
Okay. But you didn't click then?
No.
Okay. John, so the advice tab gives you advice. Do you know what happens when you look for advice? It uses 5 save rings every time you ask for advice.
What the fuck is wrong with this game?
In a game where save rings are the only premium, the most
They're
important.
Your lives.
It's your literal lives, your ability to move forward, to do anything, your currency. To look up advice in the advice button, it costs 5.
Oh my fucking God. Okay. So I get a couple hours into this game, and it is okay. Earlier, Woolie, you said something about how you're very good at transporting yourself back to old game times, right?
Yeah. I think so.
I streamed this game, and people were saying, "Oh, well, old games are just kind of like this." Bull fucking shit, they are. The worst part about this game isn't anything I have described so far. It is just the overarching game design. The way the game pulls you through its world. The way it tells you where you're meant to go or what you're meant to be doing. It is agony. There's a point in the game where to proceed, you need to get a sample from a body in a morgue. Which body do you need to get? No. It's not which body. It's not which morgue, because there are multiple morgues across this city. It's how do you even need to know you need to go to a morgue? That's what this is.
Okay. So you're describing one particular instance of something that my brain has just, like, transmogrified into a series of fetch quests for legendary items and or people and or things in nondescript ways that you're just supposed to mash the soul of the character that you've taken over into everything until a green light pops up, and then you're like, oh, that's progress.
Yeah, that's it. So that thing where you are basically just searching. You don't even know why.
No logic to it.
You don't even know
no
why
rhyme,
you
no
should
reason.
be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
You do that, and that is the whole game. The whole game is this miserable fucking just dragging yourself from area to area. So very quickly I started using a guide, because absolutely fuck off with the idea of getting anywhere in this game.
Oh, the guide was the fourth member of the LP for us, yeah.
Okay, good. And anyone who's like, it's cheating that you used a guide, I fucking challenge you. Get 40 minutes into this game without using a guide.
Even with the guide, dude. Did you... yeah.
And when we say the guide, it's because there's one. I bet it's the same one.
That's
and
the
dude
used.
writing it thinks this is the greatest game of all time.
Hey, so you know that door that's locked that you gotta just know to use the screwdriver on to get inside? Otherwise you're permanently fucking... You know that thing that looks like everything else that just... Yeah, this is just how old games are, right? This is just how it used to be in the year of our Lord,
this
1999.
Came out in the same year as Street Fighter Third Strike.
In 1999, the year after fucking everything came out, StarCraft and RE2 and Half-Life and fucking like Metal Gear
came
and
out.
FF7 and what?
This game came out 2 months before Shenmue 1. And let me tell you, this game makes Shenmue 1 look like Shenmue 2, okay? So anyway, I'm about 6 hours in, okay? And I am really having a fucking miserable time.
Now,
like,
what body are you on? Are you on the spectating random person who gets roped into it? Or are you on the blackface man whose an entire body and face are painted up to just be blackface? Which body are you currently piloting?
Well, now, Woolie, there was a moment in the game where I did have to pilot the blackface body.
What is happening? Yeah.
I was shaking my head the entire time, being like, "No, thank you."
But yes, 6 hours in or so.
So 6 hours in, and that's when I hit my time to stream. Okay, and I tell everyone I stream some actual good games. I stream normal fishing, and I stream what was the other fucking thing I played? Buckshot Roulette. 2 really cool games. People should check out.
I mean, you could have just said stabbing your hand with a knife, and I would have been like, "Oh yeah, cool, right."
Yeah, and then
a better way to use your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I put on Omikron, and everyone sees where I am, and a certain portion of the audience starts freaking the fuck out. Because I have 8 bombs.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is in one of the game's first-person sections, and the way this section works, you're in a factory.
Oh boy, are you?
You're in a factory, and you have to place 8 bombs. But when you do, you only have 15 minutes to get to the last part. Okay? It is very hard to navigate your way through the factory.
Just take me back. Take me back. I'm having an outer body experience right now.
So I am making my way through the factory. All right?
Mm-hmm. First person, and it's green. You shoot.
First person, everything's green, Woolie. Everything's green. Mm-hmm. I start placing the bombs. I'm getting panicked. I place 1 bomb, 2 bombs, 3 bombs. I'm clearing out the enemies. I'm trying to do this. The counter is ticking down.
Jumping
9
over
minutes,
the boxes,
10 minutes,
on the ropes.
5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And then I actually first try, Woolie, get to the very ends. First try. But when I say the very ends, I mean I make it to a vent, Woolie. And I am looking down at the vent, and a train goes by. And I'm like, that's definitely going to kill me. So I drop down I went for it to pass. I drop down into the vent. I look right. I see the back of the train. I look left. I see a closed gate. Then the gate starts opening, and I go, well, that's where I have to go. Clearly, I go into the gate. Boom! Killed by a train. I go all the way through it again. It takes another, I have to restart. I clear out all the guys. It takes another 15 minutes to get back there. I have 8 minutes left on the timer. I know I can do this. I die to the train again because I don't know where to fucking go. And what it does is it sends me back to the start of that level. And it resets all the bad guys, but the timer is still going. I am playing all this with the shitty fucking D-pad analog combo of the Dreamcast. Yeah. So so I'm like, okay, timer's still going, bombs are still placed, let's get fucking back to that vent and let's do this. I fight my way back to the vents, 2 minutes left.
Wow.
I click on the vent.
Wow.
I click on the vents. I need to place more bombs before I can drop down this vent. It reset the bombs. It reset the bombs. It reset the enemy. It didn't reset the fucking timer. I have 2 minutes to place 8 bombs. Woolie? That's when I get a message. Hey, Woolie is also streaming, and he's shit-talking you. Woolie, I had a little compilation cut together of me streaming this section. Would you like to see it?
Let's take a look. We're good.
It feels so fucking awful, chat. And the aiming is not analog. So what that means is basically there's very little difference between the max speed and the low speed. So this is the slightest movement I can use. It feels so bad. Oh god, I have to make this jump. Okay, chat, I know you'll be shocked, but the jumping controls kind of suck. Here we go. Oh, no, please. Oh. No! But where do I go? Oh my god, I'm back here. And I'm dead. I'm fucking dead again. This piece of shit game, chat. This stupid fucking game.
Oh, this music.
How are you shooting me from there? That's not fair. Okay, but once I go down here, where do I go? I don't. Okay, just gone. So down we go. Where though? Where? Where? Okay, now I'm dead, and all the enemies are back, which is such fucking horseshit. So, okay, we go right, chat. Do we go right? I know you can't know. I want to blow the whole place sky high. I'll have to place some more bombs in this part of the factory.
Oh my god, dude.
The hook, man! Grab the hook! He can shoot through the floor. He can just shoot through the floor. Okay, great. Great. What a fucking wonderful game! Who is shooting me? Who is shooting me? Where's the damage coming from? Where's the damage coming from? Okay, so... Woolie laughed at your expense on this street. Woolie, I fucking... You better not show up to the next episode. I swear to God. I swear to God. Can someone please clip that scream and send it to Woolie and let him know what he has wrought?
Shame. Sorry to hear about John's struggles, whatever they might be. Anyway,
cool, man.
On to Tekken. Cool, man. I don't have to worry about that until at least next week. That is a whole other recording session away. I don't want to.
Facts.
That's yeah. We'll see. Anyways, hi. What's up? We are here with a special.
Sure.
Other things going on elsewhere that don't matter. Welcome back to the show. Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh my god! Oh shit! Okay. How are we doing, John?
What's wrong? What's
John,
wrong, Woolie? You seem back to seeming worried. You okay? You okay, sweetie?
John, are you?
What's wrong? Woolie, what's wrong? I'm right here. It's okay.
I didn't know you were capable of those noises. I literally have never heard anything like that come from you ever under any circumstances.
Seems with the right stimulus, anything is possible, Woolie.
Wow. Well, that's pretty far into the game, actually.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's quite a bit of a ways in. In fact, I mean, that's certainly a reasonable tapping out point.
Absolutely. I agree.
You know, point made and all that. Good job. Mm-hmm. Good business. Yeah. You put the money on the stage and you go home.
No, I appreciate that. It sure would take someone deeply unhinged to keep going. I would like to continue my assessment of Omikron, the Nomad soul.
Oh, I see.
Uh-huh.
Then by all means, proceed.
Omikron, the Nomad soul, is a game about nothing. I know that, Woolie, because I got much, much further into this game. It has so much to say. No, it doesn't. It plays with so many story ideas. It plays with transhumanism.
Yes.
It plays with a meta-narrative where the player is a part of it. The problem is that it doesn't fucking say anything with them at all. It's just, whoa, what if you were a video game? It says nothing. It's just nothing. Sorry.
Are you suggesting that it might be somewhat callous for one of the random bodies you switch into to be someone who the only solution is to jump into this body, commit suicide, Sudoku yourself, so that the farmer next to you can get possessed, and then using his body, you can move a block out of the way of a door, permanently ruining 2 lives in the process, because this is what we need to do to fight Satan?
Well, Woolie, I would have had to get very far into this game to know what you're talking about, wouldn't I?
Oh, John. No.
Woolie.
Not like this.
Woolie.
Not like this.
This is what you wanted. This is what you wanted.
This is not... No.
This is what you wanted, Woolie.
Not the whole thing.
Woolie.
Not all the... John, no.
Woolie. Look, it's okay. It's okay. Take my hand. Take my hand. I'm still your buddy. I'm still the same person you knew. I beat Omikron.
Oh! Why? No! No, this was not... You weren't supposed to... You were just meant to... And then...
What? To be the laughingstock of this podcast once again?
John, I'm not...
Woolie, I beat Omikron less than 24 hours ago.
Wow. Okay.
The game did its fucking damnedest to soft lock me several times, I refused to give in. At one point, Woolie, you have to collect 3 gems. I will not go into detail. Collecting each of these 3 gems individually is fucking agony.
I mean, I feel like there are multiple gems you slide onto a door that then just are nothing but door openers, but they're the most important legendary mystical artifacts ever.
The game started to bug out, and every time I would enter and re-enter the room, it mixed up which gems I have, because all the gems have the same name. They're all called the Vedishka jewels, but there's a red one, a green one, and a blue one, but they're all just called Vedishka jewels.
John, you were supposed to see the kale cuckery, and then you were supposed to see a Koopy sandwich. And then you were supposed to be like, okay, I think we got it. And then just X out on the Koopy sandwich. Which
no. I 100%ed this game.
A man with
no, I didn't do all the side quests. I did not do all the side quests, so I didn't 100% this game. I beat this game. I beat this game with my own hands. I dragged... Do you know what? The idea of dragging your soul through an ordeal is an apt storyline for this game, because I do feel like in real life, that is what's happened. I am different now, Willie.
that scream released something.
I watched a little piece of me fly off into the ether, and it's never coming back. This is the worst David Cage game. This is the worst game I have ever played. Congratulations, Shadow the Hedgehog. You move up into number 2. Because Shadow the Hedgehog has a fucking rad intro, and it has that bit where the president has a picture of him and Sonic.
I am all that I am, all I am.
There's shit to like about Shadow the Hedgehog. This was misery, and it was my entire life for the last 2 weeks. I haven't played Lies of P. I haven't played the Rebirth demo. I haven't played any more Void Stranger, Woolie. Void Stranger seems amazing. This game was my entire life, and I was on stream last night. I was suffering through this bug with the door where it kept rejecting me because it kept remixing the gems I had. Because the game is so fucking stupid, it doesn't even know what's happening with its own inventory system. This is all going to be up on regular Eyepatch Wolf at some point if people want to check it out. But I pushed through, Woolie.
Okay.
I pushed through. I pushed through. And I beat the game. And I need you to understand that you did this, Woolie. You did this. I understand that you had a little bit of hardship with fear and hunger, but Woolie, look at me. I took a few pieces of rice from your plate. You bulldozed my house.
Wow. Okay. Something to prove. I see. A man with something to prove.
People are like, oh, I bet John's never going to do the challenges. I beat Shenmue 3 twice. I have read 1,000 Garfield comics.
I see now what this podcast is.
Me too, and I'm so sad because there's such a beautiful version of this podcast, Woolie. There's such a beautiful friendship version of this podcast where we experience so much wonderful art together. And you shot it all away, and we can never go back.
I will never take responsibility for being the instigator of this violence. This was a retaliatory action. Let the record show that 2 episodes in, we arrived at this place.
Look, Woolie, I guess we'll just see what how the history books put it, okay?
Wow.
We must now...
Now, of course, it goes without saying, but we say nonetheless that, like, with the wildness of the suggestion, there's no caveat on completion ever. That is
no. You did not place the caveat. But Woolie, I was placed in an impossible situation. I was ridiculed by you for missing that tournament. I was ridiculed by our audience. I was streaming Omikron, and you know what my chat was saying? You deserve it.
There were flotation devices and little, round ducks you could put around. Like, it didn't have to be deep. Like, it was...
I refuse to be the villain of this podcast.
Good luck. The objective was to get wet. I didn't say where, how shallow, or how deep.
Well, I'm at the bottom of the fucking ocean, baby.
I'll drag you to the bottom of the ocean. Wow, you fucking did. Okay. Spite is a powerful motivator.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you say Omikron lines up on the pantheon?
Get that shit to the bottom of the fucking list. And there it will remain for all eternity. Woolie, I would miss 1,000 fighting game tournaments.
Okay. Well,
and with...
in some ways, it's almost like the Band-Aid got ripped off, right? It's like we've acknowledged, the elephant in the room, and now that it's done with, we can be like, hey, we can get on with our lives. We've done it, right? I would say, John, this is kind of wild. And you know what? I think we're square. I think the debt is paid. I think we're still going to have to dance, but the slate is clean. And you know what? I spoke to your dad in the room over there, and you were in trouble, but I talked him out of it, and now I think we're good. But you do owe me. But don't worry about it too much. You know? Don't worry about it too much. I just keep in mind what I've done. And you know,
I think it's time that we enter the recommendation portion of the podcast. It is time for Recommend or Die.
Recommend.
Woolie?
Or live happily ever after.
What do you got for me, buddy?
Okay. Well, listen, like I said, that is a Herculean. That's a Herculean effort put in. The objective was to get wet, and you put on your snorkeling gear, and Epo style. We went to the bottom of the ocean, and we're finding new creatures that science doesn't want anything to do with. You know, the Titanic jewel was right there. So
David Cage is down there
with a farting dick and balls and a little dick butt drawing next to him as he runs out of the courtroom. I'm quickly getting afraid of this segment because of
why would you be afraid?
You know, just past trauma.
We are 3 episodes in.
If we could just hold off on the combo breaks for a minute, because I've had to, in this last month, really look deep inside, like hit a point and go like, all right. There's things I love that I want to share with John, and there's a whole lot that he has also experienced, and there's a whole lot that he knows about me as well. And there's difficulty. And not to mention, this is not to sandbag it, but you do consume media. I'm someone who generally...
I am a consumer.
Yes, I do tend to lay back in the cut and take things at my own pace. And you know, that's kind of what I'm known for at this point, is picking and choosing. So there's a little bit of that. There's an uphill battle. Okay. So I don't think this has crossed your radar, but you probably heard me talk about it. My hope is that you have not yet done it. There's a webcomic. It's called Kill 6 Billion Demons.
I've wanted to read this for the longest fucking time.
Yes! Let's go!
Nice. Great pick, Woolie. Cool. Awesome. Kill 6 billion demons. Let's do it. Any parameters?
Okay, so the name of the media is Kill 6 Billion Demons. It's the fucking raddest shit.
Yeah, that's so sick.
I gift this. You can. So here's the thing. Shout outs to Abaddon. There is a printed version of this as a comic that can be read. And it's got some. It's beautiful. However, I would recommend reading it as webcomic, because that's the original release format. It's easier to consume, and it also has alt text, which print media can't do. When you mouse over a given
sick. Okay, yep,
page,
that's sold.
You get some extra text. What I would say is, parameters are at least make it through, the first book or so. And read as well. There's some supplemental material in the what's it called? There's the pages of certain chapters are interspersed with extra lore, and it's in a section of the website. If I can just quickly confirm what the name of that is. You go to kill6billiondemons.com, and yes, besides the comic, there's the liturgy section. Read the liturgy section as well, just for a little bit of extra.
Before or after?
It's kind of funny, but the answer is actually kind of during.
Okay, sure.
But as you go check out that as well, and it's it kind of gives you the same feeling of going through the pages. That's my recommend. I'll save anything else I have to say about it for next time.
Great recommendation, Woolie. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Feeling relieved? Feeling better?
Just waiting for a noise that didn't happen, so I think we're okay.
No, we're okay. You're okay, buddy. Woolie, something you said in the last podcast really stood out to me. And it was when you talked about details. You remember that?
What did I say about details, John?
I believe you were pointing out how technically not only did I miss the tournament, but I went 0-2. Yeah. And you just highlighted how important details are in this entire process, which I think we can both agree on, right?
I'm a stickler for details sometimes. I do like
Yeah, absolutely. Like, without details, what are rules? And without rules, what is life? Right?
Okay. I'll follow the premise.
Sure. I like to do my research on the games I'm going to play. And while researching Omikron, I thought, oh, heck, why not? Why not take a look at Woolie's old Let's Play? And I noticed an interesting detail. Your hands were not the ones on that controller, were they, Woolie?
No.
I think that if someone were to ask you, have you ever beaten Omikron? And you were to say, yes, that would be a lie, wouldn't it, Woolie?
It would not. No. Foxcade, hold that breaker for a second. You're gonna need it we played
Foxcade, do no such thing.
Woolie, John.
Woolie.
No.
This is happening.
This is happening. No, we played it. We played it. The game was split into the sections of traversal, of FPS, and of combat. And eventually, we all had our turns on other sections as well. I absolutely was on for a bunch of that.
Woolie.
Combo breaker. John?
Woolie, you have an incomplete version of Omikron. You must accept the recommendation. We can put it to a vote with the fans. You know how that will go. Woolie, look at me. You have technically not beaten Omikron, meaning it is a valid part of this experience.
Are you seriously fucking doing this?
Woolie?
Are you...
Woolie? 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 Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
Hi.
You want to make this about hatred? Woolie? You want to know what it's like to have an enemy? That is why, Woolie, I recommend you Vinland Saga. Because unlike you, Woolie, I have no enemies. Oh, you gonna cry? You gonna cry, Woolie? Was that a little intense?
If you can fucking Like, legitimately, I swear to God, if you could feel... My pulse is wild right now, dude. Oh!
Woolie, I recommend you season 1 of Vinland Saga. It is one of the modern goats of anime, and someone like you, Woolie, there's some lessons in there for you about hatred, about what we do to other people. It is a phenomenal anime. People should check it out.
Oh my God. Holy shit, dude. Wow. Okay,
now hang on. I need to clear something up, Woolie, real quick.
All right.
What that was not a bluff. That was you waking up in the middle of the night and me standing over you and whispering, I can get you whenever I want. What just happened, Woolie, is I showed you the loaded gun and then I put it to one side. Do you understand? Do you understand what this is? Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed episode 3 of Versus Wolves. Woolie, where can the people find you?
In my bed. In my room. With the door closed and the lights off.
I'll be right there. See you next time, everybody.